Hello everyone, welcome to my video on how to paint one-stroke flowers on rocks. I posted these a couple of days ago on the Facebook group Art Rocks, and I got an overwhelming response, over 2,000 likes and comments, and so I thought, wow, this must be something people want to learn, and so I decided to do a video on it. I'm going to be using plaid folk art paint, just acrylic. This color is called Thicket. I will list the colors in the video. And as well, I'm probably going to have to use a little bit of floating medium, also made by Plaid Folk Art. What floating medium is paint with no color in it. And you know how sometimes when you're painting you get those dry edges, especially on rocks. It extends the wetness of your paint and it gets rid of those dry edges. But you don't want to use too much or you'll end up making it a little bit watery. So I have a rock here that I've painted with just black acrylic paint, and then I sprayed it with triple thick to make it nice and shiny, because one of the things about painting one stroke is that you don't want to paint on anything too porous because you need to use a lot of paint, and porous things suck it up pretty fast. And then I'm using one-stroke brushes, also made by Plaid, that actually say one stroke on them, and by Donna Dewberry. And these are special brushes that have a nice bristle with a real spring to it and a real chisel edge, which is what allows us to get those nice sharp leaves and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to get my brush wet, take off the excess water, and the reason it's called one stroke is because we do lots of shading, two colors with one stroke. So what I'm going to do is pick up some dark green and some light green and then blend it. And you always want to be able to see the two colors. And you want a lot of paint. So you pick up paint 2 or 3 times. And you want to get your brush about 3/4 full of paint. And I might just add just a touch of floating medium here. When you're blending your paint like this, try to keep your blending stroke short. If you've got it really long, all you're doing is painting your plate and you're not loading your brush. So try to keep it about 2 inches. Okay, so now I'm ready to put some background leaves on. So I go 1, 2, 3 to get the paint, get lots of paint down on the surface, and then just wiggle like that, and that's how you get your blending. Now you need to pick up paint between each stroke because you're really depositing a lot of paint on there. So I'll just turn my work, 1, 2, 3, wiggle, and then on the chisel edge of your brush, pull in a stem. So I'm going to do 3 different colored leaves just so you can get the idea of how they can look. And I'll try to get this into the picture now so you can see how my blending looks. Okay, so over here I'm going to put, so this one has light on the outside. Here I'm going to put one with dark on the outside. So you put the paint down, wiggle, and then turn your brush and stand it up on the end to get that sharp point, and then use the chisel edge to pull in a stem. So this one's light on the outside, dark on the outside, and now I'm going to do one with light on one side and dark on the other. Pull in a stem, just so you can get an idea of how the different leaves can look. Okay, then I'm going to change to, oh sorry, that was a number 12. Now I'm going to change to a number 8 with doing the same, picking up the 2 colors, blending. this number 8 is very small, so it is hard to load it up with as much paint, but just do your best. Pick up a dot of floating medium, blend that in. Okay, so there's my smaller brush. And now what I'm going to do is what we call slider leaves. So with one stroke and a slide, you can get a full leaf. As you can see, this is a very expedient way of painting. And we can put a few. And then I'll probably just pull some stems in there with the chisel edge. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll be ready to put on our rose. Okay, that's pretty much dry to the touch, so I'm going to pick up that 1/2-inch brush again. Get it a little wet. I have a cleaner brush here. You can keep using the brush that had green on it, but anyway, so I'm going to pick up some white and some burgundy and blend those the same way. Now, if possible, you want about 2/3 burgundy and 1/3 white. It's not always easy to get that. Maybe pick up a dot of floating medium. And just before you start painting, maybe pick up just a little extra tip of white right there, because the white is going to go on the outside, and that's what's going to, you're going to need more white than burgundy. Now you're going to start off with a blank spot in the middle about the size of a quarter. So once again, 3 strokes to get the paint down, wiggle. I'll probably go over these twice. You can see that they're not a nice opaque color, so I think I'll paint them. That's the nice thing about one stroke, is you can paint over top of it. 1, 2, 3. Wiggle. And as with the leaves, pick up paint every time. 1, 2, 3. I have not tried painting on this sealant before, this triple coat. So it's not taking as nicely as I wanted it to, but I think the second time I paint the petals, it'll make it nice and opaque. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll paint a second coat. Okay, normally when you're doing one-stroke painting on canvas or paper, you don't have to dry it in between, and you don't have to do a second coat. In fact, this technique is called wet on wet, but I'm just new to painting rocks. I'm still experimenting with medium and the clear coat and all that kind of stuff. So this is only my second time painting rocks, so I'm learning as I go. But you can see there that we're getting a much nicer opaque white this time. And since this is such an expedient method of painting, it's not going to hurt to take a few minutes to do your second coat. Picking up a little floating medium. Just fix up that gap there. Oops. If you do have to restroke something, you're better off going right from the beginning, so as not to mess up your blending. I'm just going to cover that up. Okay, so that's the base of the rose. And again, I'll let that dry. As I said, on paper, you don't normally need to dry in between layers, but this clear coat is giving me some different characteristics to the paint. Okay. Now, you decide what you want to be, the way your rock sits. I think we'll make this where the center of the rose goes, up and over, and then pick up some more paint, drop a floating medium, tiny bit, and then come around the front like that. So I guess it needs to be really dry. Hopefully that's dry enough now. Okay, that's looking better. All right, picking up more paint. Now, 1, 2, 3, we do the shell stroke again. Using a little more floating medium than I thought I would, but that's okay. Just going to clean my brush off a tiny bit. As you can see, I'm losing my distinct. So when you clean your brush off, it's still full of paint. And invariably, one of the times you're going to dip the white in the burgundy and the burgundy into the white, or you'll have your brush all set up okay, but then you'll paint backwards on your, whatever your medium is, and you'll go, ah. But all you have to do, wipe the brush off, because it's still loaded, and then repaint the stroke. Shell stroke again. And one more time. Just to finish off down here. There we go. And then the last 2 or 3 strokes are like the opening strokes of your rose. And for this one, I'll probably use a fair amount of floating medium because you want this one to go on smooth as butter. Okay, so you just press, wrap, and pull. Pick up a little more paint. It's definitely good to have some extra white on when you do this. Press, wrap, and pull. And there's a 1-stroke rose. Now I'm going to let this dry, put some one more clear coat on it, and I'll be back to show you how nice that looks. So there you have it, 1-stroke rose on a rock, and I personally prefer the glossy finish. So I know some people like matte. So that's certainly up to you. And I'd just like to say thank you for watching my video, and if you would like to go to my website, www.jojomdesign.com, and subscribe. I'll be posting videos regularly. The next video I'm going to do is a poinsettia. Now this is not obviously rock size, but one stroke poinsettias, and I'm going to be designing that to fit on a rock. So please do visit my website, and if you subscribe, I'll put your name in a draw to win one of my rocks. Thank you very much.